In September 2025, a horrifying event occurred in Grand Blanc, Michigan that defied everything we thought we knew. Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old man, didn't just show up and shoot. That we know, shooting in America. Those are common events in America. But Sanford carried out a coordinated, combined act of terror. Driving his pickup truck, adorned with 2 American flags on the back, he slammed directly into the front brick wall of a Mormon church while worshippers were gathered inside for their Sunday service. Sanford didn't just stop there. Immediately after ramming the church, he ignited the structure using an accelerant. Improvised explosive devices made from firecrackers and smoke canisters were found in his vehicle later. After inflicting structural damage and creating panic among the congregants, he stepped out of his car with his rifle in hand and began shooting at community members. And the grim bottom line? 4 dead, 8 wounded. Sanford continued until he was neutralized in a fire exchange with police, all within a mere 8 minutes of their arrival. You tell me, is that a lot or a little 8 minutes? In any case, the resounding question is, what motivates a person to carry out such a systematic, coordinated, and planned level of violence, especially against a specific religious institution he accused of being the Antichrist, the kingdom of Satan, as he saw it? On the surface, it looks like absolute madness, the result of personal rage over breakup with a Mormon partner, or perhaps a psychological breakdown related to combat trauma. But this is not madness. Thomas Jacob Sanford, too, operated according to a cultural pattern. This Michigan event reflects a deep and inherent cultural logic within the American character, American culture, a logic that generates the pattern of the foregone conclusions. Hello everyone, I am Professor Gad Yair, author of This is America, and today we're diving into the science of American culture. The discussion we're about to undertake is essential because it doesn't just shake the foundations of American identity. It exposes the secret code of violence that recurs in America. I will not settle for the description of a crazed gunman. Instead, I will help you understand how American culture itself manufactures these tragedies according to a fixed template, a cultural script that someone steps into every time and then fires. This is my promise in every conversation. We are dissecting this cultural trap. We reveal how history, culture, and gun availability shape daily life in America, so people can see clearly, choose freely, and live with greater autonomy. So let's use the Grand Blanc church incident to crack the cultural logic of what appears to others as complete insanity. We'll dive into 2 key codes I present in my book. This is America, Portrait of a Nation. The Rambo syndrome, which explains the operational pattern, and the land of salvation, which provides the focused hatred motive for the shooting. Let's start with Chapter 9, the Rambo syndrome. The Grand Blanc event is tragic, yet perfect realization of the Rambo syndrome. This is a cultural code that motivates and explains how the offended or frustrated American, instead of resorting to institutional or social solutions, adopts the ultimate solution, taking up arms and carrying out a planned act of violence. The attack in Michigan was not a random act of madness. It was a systematic and pre-managed operation. Sanford, a decorated former Marine sergeant who served in Iraq, was operating according to a learned cultural script. Violence is an American achievement. Just like in a Rambo movie, Sanford operated with meticulous planning and advanced preparation of his destructive tools. executing a predetermined sequence. The surprise ramming of the structure, setting it on fire, and then firing into the congregation. And what makes these massacres so quintessentially American is their systematic nature. This methodical approach, usually associated with economic success and efficient management rooted in the Protestant ethic, emphasizing diligence, planning, and precise execution, is, in this case, channeled into the implementation of hatred. As you read the pages of the book, you learn that mass shooters in America study their predecessors and prepare detailed action plans designed to kill more, shock more, and leave a clearer mark. Sanford took this step farther. He used this truck as a colossal weapon to breach the church's initial barrier, like terrorists using planes or like ramming attacks elsewhere. He then escalated by setting the church on fire with gasoline to ensure complete destruction and additional casualties through burning and asphyxiation. The shooting wasn't the only killer. Sanford was equipped with a semi-automatic rifle for mass shooting, and he added improvised explosive devices composed of firecrackers and smoke grenades to create hate and chaos and terror. Sanford's actions reflected a deadly application of American determination aimed at improving achievements constantly and being faster and farther in every case. And in this case, the improvement was in the methods of killing. His firefight with the police lasted a full 8 minutes, further highlighting the speed and decisiveness with which he acted. Now let us shift gears. Firearms are viewed in America as a tool for survival, and more importantly, as a fundamental right and the key to individual liberty. For this reason, no president or legislature can take away the constitutional right of Americans to bear arms. The right to possess a weapon is the right most identified with standing free and the ability to self-defend. And because liberty is the Archimedean point in America, the point upon which the entire world balances, the gun is centrally positioned. This creates a tragic paradox. The availability of guns in a quantity nearly equal to the country's population turns the Rambo syndrome script into a practical and immediate option for dealing with any personal distress. This is true even though Michigan laws prohibit carrying concealed weapons in places of worship without explicit permission from the presiding official. The fact that Sanford still successfully executed this violent script proves that, in the face of the violent cultural narrative, local law becomes meaningless. Chapter 13, The Land of Salvation, allows us to crack the question of the specific motive. The incident is an act of targeted violence stemming from a deep ideological hatred for the Mormon faith. The root of Sanford's hatred was likely personal. Former friends reported that his deep animosity began after a painful breakup with a Mormon woman in Utah, even if it happened over a decade ago. He translated his personal frustration and pain into focused religious hatred, based on the perception that the institution he hated was, in fact, an evil, satanic force. Sanford claimed that Mormons were the Antichrist. This assertion is not merely an insult. It reflects the extreme duality of religious identity in America. The burning faith in God's power versus the paranoid fear of the forces of Satan. America is a technological and modern country, but paradoxically, it is also deeply religious. Religion serves as a strong organizing force within communities. Places of worship, like the Mormon Church, hold central symbolic importance in the communal and spiritual identity in America. Therefore, an attack on them is an attack on the heart of the system. The Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the LDS, provokes such extreme rage because of its unique and challenging position within the founding narrative of the land of salvation. This narrative, which connects the biblical land of Israel directly to America, challenges the exclusivity of other Protestant Christian narratives that emphasize the sole authority of the Bible. For extremists, especially those adopting conspiracy theories, this perception can be viewed as absolute heresy or a deception by Satan seeking to take over the chosen nation. When American democracy is ruled by figures who present themselves as devout Christians, anyone who challenges the accepted boundaries of faith, especially a religion that positions itself at the heart of the American destiny, can become a target of extreme rage. Sanford likely saw the extermination of the Mormons as an act of patriotic redemption, defending American liberty from a global malicious force he labeled the Antichrist. Either way, the terror event in Michigan illustrates the cultural trap Americans are caught in. This is a formula that inevitably leads to tragedy. Personal frustration from breakup or economic distress, plus cultural codes of God versus evil, of ultimate force like the Rambo syndrome, plus unlimited gun availability, equals the foregone conclusion. Sanford, a combat veteran with personal hardships, reports indicate he left his job as a Coca-Cola truck driver to care for his sick son, and his family faced financial and medical distress. Anyway, he funneled all those grievances into one channel: combined violence. The result is the price America pays, a technological, wealthy, and free country that suffers gun mortality rates that shock other developed nations. This is the price of a culture that sanctifies the forceful solution and combines it with extreme religiosity. Sanford's violence against the Mormon Church is a desperate call to recognize that absolute liberty, when mixed with cultural codes that sanctify ultimate solutions of force and extreme religious interpretation, can lead to absolute servitude, to violence. To stop this cycle, Americans don't just need new gun laws. They need a deep understanding of the quiet cultural script that dictates their life. We all need to see how cultural habits of systematic execution, determination, and extreme religious belief, combined with gun availability, create the mechanism that produces tragedies like the one in Grand Blanc. Only by understanding these codes can people see clearly the trap they are locked in, choose freely constructive solutions, and live with greater autonomy, far away from Sanford's narrative and the foregone conclusion. To conclude, if you now understand that this violence is not random madness, but a recurring and inherent pattern, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it to help us collectively crack the codes that shape our lives. What other cultural code do you think is missing from this analysis of this tragedy? Write to me in the comments. Until next time, I am Professor Gad Yair.